Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Jacob Choi. We are honoured to acknowledge Dr. Brendan Nelson, President, Boeing Australia, New Zealand and the South Pacific, and Colonel Susan Newhouse, retired, Member of the Council of the Australian War Memorial. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Please be seated if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private James Andrew Herbert Heyman. James Heyman was born in 1883, the eldest son of William and Emma Heyman of Nundle, New South Wales. He was educated at the local public school at Nundle and later became a selector in the Tamworth district. He was known to be an expert kangaroo shooter, and his father described him as, without doubt, one of Australia's leading marksmen. James Heyman enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force within weeks of the outbreak of war in 1914. After a period of training, he left Australia for active service overseas on the 22nd of December 1914, with reinforcements to the 2nd Battalion, and after arriving in Egypt, Heyman continued training in the desert for several weeks before leaving for Gallipoli. The 2nd Battalion came ashore at Anzac Cove on the 25th of April 1915 as part of the 2nd and 3rd waves. The men were quickly sent forward to the heights, where advance parties were trying to establish a line. Over the following days, the men worked continuously to defend their shaky position. In the early hours of the 19th of May, 1915, Turkish forces attacked the Australian line in force. The 2nd Battalion had been prepared for the attack and were able to repel wave after wave of the enemy as they came, inflicting heavy losses. Private Heyman was in the front line of the attack, according to another Nundle soldier there, and reportedly accounted for about 100 Turks. Not long afterwards, however, he fell, mortally wounded with a bullet through his temple. Private James Heyman is officially recorded as having been killed in action on the 20th of May, 1915. His body was recovered from the battlefield and buried by his mates. Today, he lies in the Lone Pine Cemetery at Anzac under the simple epitaph, "He gave his life for home and country." He was 32 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private James Andrew Herbert Heyman, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID and wish you all a very pleasant evening.